Hello mathematicians. Today we see one more nice problem from real analysis. This is actually this problem actually also asked in the NBHM interview, and we will see this problem is about actually path connectedness and connectedness. So we will see many interesting concept in connectedness and path connectedness. As usual, I say my these videos are little bit long because in one problem I don't usually just talk about that problem. Okay, I say many more ideas I share mainly about how to understand the concept. Okay, once you understand the concept, you are not just solving that problem, you can solve similar problems also. Okay, so that is the idea. Now we see the problem. Let A subset of R2 two-dimensional Euclidean plane, and we are looking at the complement of the set A in R2. Okay, x equal to R2 minus A, complement of A. And we look at X with a subspace topology inherited from the usual topology on R2. What is the usual topology on R2? You take the metric, there is a usual distance metric. How it is defined? Distance between x1 comma y1 comma x2 comma y2 is equal to modulus of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus modulus of y2 minus y1 the whole square and whole power 1 by 2. Okay, so this is our usual distance on R2. With this distance gives rise to a metric, that's what we call usual metric on R2. Okay, our usual topology on R2. Now we look at the subspace topology on X. Okay, so the same this function D defines a metric on R2 minus A also. Now we look it will make R2 minus A metric space. Now we look at the topology coming from that metric space. Basically you look at all the open set in that metric space, that will form a topology. That is easy to verify since arbitrary open set of open set in a metric space is open. Again finite intersection of open set in the metric space is again open. Therefore, yeah, a set of open sets in a metric space gives rise to naturally to a topology. Okay. Now there are four options given. It is a part B problem. We'll do one by one. So if the answer is wrong, we give an example. If the answer is correct, we prove it. That's how we do all the problems. We just don't eliminate the option. That is not right way to do the problems. You have to eliminate the wrong option using some idea, and you also understand. You also have to understand why the option is correct. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Let's fourth option is related to, sorry, first option is related to fourth option, so we'll do fourth first, then we come to first. Okay, so we start with 2, then 3, then do 3, then do 4, then we come back to 1. Okay, so in the second option they are saying that if A is unbounded, then R2 minus A is a compact subset. Okay, so we look at X subset of Rn. When a subset of Rn is compact, X is compact if and only if X is closed and bounded. Okay, at least in Rn, to prove something is compact, enough to prove it is closed and bounded. Okay, so to say something is not compact, enough to say it is not closed or not bounded. For example, if it is unbounded, then definitely it is not compact. So to prove this option is wrong, we give an example of a which is unbounded such that R2 minus A is also unbounded. Okay, a subset A such that its complement also unbounded, then definitely that complement R2 minus A cannot be compact. It is easy to come up with such example. For example, we can take A to be the x-axis. So I look this yellow color, I have marked it with yellow. So look at the x-axis. Then clearly it is unbounded, right? X-axis means it's going infinitely, so it is an unbounded set. So and if you look at the complement, we get everything, all the point that is not lying on the x-axis. So basically that complement of x-axis also unbounded. Okay, therefore R2 minus A is unbounded in this case if A is the x-axis. Therefore, R2 minus A is not compact. Okay. Therefore, we can eliminate that this second option is false. I mean, R2 minus A is unbounded, therefore it is not compact. So, second option is wrong. So, in the third option, they are saying if A is open, then R2 minus A is compact. Sorry. So, it is not it is not said that A is non-empty set anywhere. So, we can basically take A to be an empty set. Okay. So, always look for the simplest example. You take empty set first. Okay. So, take A to be the empty set, then it is open. Then what is R2 minus empty set? It is R2, and R2 is not bounded, therefore it is not compact. Okay. So, with the empty set alone we can eliminate the option third option, but if you are interested we can take we can take A to be a open unit disk center at 0 comma 0. Okay, you remove the open unit disk enter at 0 comma 0, then its complement will be a unbounded set, therefore that won't be compact. Yeah, you can, or you can take any bounded open set, that will work. Its complement won't will be unbounded, therefore its complement won't be compact. Or you can take any open half plane. Okay, open half plane means for example you just take the right side of y axis that is called but you should not take the points on the y axis, just to take the right side of y axis excluding the point on the y axis, that's called right of plane. Similarly, so then if you consider only these points, that will form a open set whose complement is not compact, because complement is again unbounded. Okay. Similarly, you can look at consider the left half plane or the upper half plane. You can consider this is lower half plane. Any half plane will be a open set whose complement is not a compact set. Okay. Therefore, if A is open, then R2 minus A need not be compact. We have many examples. Okay. So, option third is also false. Fourth option is a very important thing. So actually fourth option is correct. That's what we're going to prove. Okay. So if A is, so this is an NBHM interview problem where they asked asked you to prove if A is any countable subset of R2 minus A, then you have to prove that its complement R2 minus A is a path connected. Okay. That is what we want to prove. So okay, if it's a countable set, then it is complement is path connected. uh, let's prove it. Before proving, let's say what is path connected. Yes, set X is said to be path connected if you take any two distinct points from X, then there exists a continuous path. Continuous path. Path means it is some continuous curve in X. That is a very important thing in X, that joining X and Y. Okay, so for any two points there exists a continuous path joining X and Y. In X itself we have to find, then X is said to be path connected. For example, if you look at the real line, you take any points X and Y, then you look at the line joining, the line segment joining X and Y, it is a path joining X and Y. Okay, for any X and Y this is true, therefore R is path connected. In R2 I look at only X axis, Y axis union with this small circle, then this space is not path connected, because there is no path joining X and Y. In R2 you can join a path. For example, this path is in R2, but we are not looking at paths in R2, we are looking at path in the set X. If X axis, Y axis, then this circle, this is my set, then I should look for paths only inside this circle. Okay, for example, if I take X here and if Y is here, then I have a path. Okay, but X here and Y here, there is no path joining X and Y. Okay, so it should be true for any two X and Y. For these two X and Y, I don't have a path, therefore this set, X axis, Y axis union this circle is not path connected. Okay, there are many example of connected path connected sets. Please look at topology by Moncrief. So topology by Moncrief. So very important thing is one path connected implies connected. Okay, so it is uh, the proof is you can find from this book, or it is a simple exercise only. You can try to prove it by yourself. Basically, you assume the space is path connected, and you have to prove that it has no separation, or you assume it is disconnected, and you try to. No. The proof given in Moncrief is nice, so please check in the book. But connected doesn't imply path connected. That means there are spaces which are connected, which are but they are not path connected. One typical example is topology sine curve. Okay, so so topology sine curve is also another important concept asked in the interview every time. They will ask you what is the example of a space which is connected but not path connected. So one canonical example, I mean, one concrete example is topology sine curve. Okay, yeah, this is a curve, but you can find it in the Moncrief itself. Moncrief himself, in the Moncrief itself, it is proved that um, topology sine curve is connected, but not path connected. Okay, so please check Moncrief this topology sine curve. It is very important concept. Now we take a countable subset of R2 and we claim that R2 minus countable set is a path connected. It is path connected. That is what we are trying to prove. So basically what we need to prove, you take a two points x comma y belongs to R2 minus a, then you have to construct a continuous path or curve joining x and y in not in R2. Sorry, this path should be in R2 minus A itself. Okay, otherwise R2 full R2 is always path connected. Given any points in R2, you can always find even a straight line joining x and y. But finding it in R2 minus A, okay, that is the non-trivial thing, because this we don't know about the structure of this countable set. It can be anything. For example, it can be Q cross Q also. That we deal next. Now we look at uh, uh, sorry, so we take 2 points alpha. I take alpha to be x comma y and beta to be x prime comma y prime, be 2 points in R2 minus a. Okay, so I have taken a to be a countable set, and I take 2 points from R2 minus a. I call them alpha and beta. What I need to do, I have to find the continuous curve joining alpha and beta in R2 minus a itself. Okay, basically I need a continuous curve joining alpha and beta that doesn't passes through any point of a. Okay, so how do we going to construct such a path? So now you suppose this is my alpha. So in the, you see, this is my x axis, this is my y axis, and I am looking at 2 points alpha and beta from the set R2 minus a. Now I look at all the lines passing through alpha. How many of them are there? There are uncountably many lines are there that passes through alpha. Okay, I draw all. Okay, you can imagine all the lines passing through alpha. Similarly, I am considering all the lines passing through beta. Okay, how many of them are there? There are uncountably many lines are passing through beta. Okay, now any two lines in R2 intersects. Okay, so this is one geometrical fact about R2. You draw any two lines. Line means it is it goes, it goes. Okay, so all these lines I have drawn here, it goes, it keeps going. Okay, even though I have drawn it like a line segment, you assume that it is keep going. So at some point, any two, sorry, not any two lines, any two non-parallel lines. If they are parallel, then they don't intersect, of course. For example, yeah, I mean, if you take a line parallel to x-axis, then this line and the x-axis will never intersect. Any two non-parallel lines in R2 will intersect. Okay, okay, good. Now we are looking at all the all the lines passing through alpha. Similarly, we look at all the lines passing through beta. Now, uh, now A is countably infinite. Okay, the but the number of lines passing through alpha is uncountable. A is a countable set, but the number of lines passing through alpha is uncountable. Okay, therefore I can find at least one line passing through alpha that doesn't contain a point of A. Okay, because if every line passing through alpha has a point of A, that means that A is uncountable. Okay, but A is only countably infinite. Therefore, um, we can always find a line passing through alpha that doesn't contain any point of A. Okay, so I call such a line L1. Okay, similarly, I find a line L2 such that L2 contains no point of A. L2 passes the line L2 passes through beta, but L2 contains no point of A. Okay, again the line passes through beta is uncountable, but A is only a countable set. Therefore, I can always find a line L2. Now, L1 and L2 are two distinct lines, and we can always choose L1 and L2 to be non-parallel. Why non-parallel? Why we can always find it's two non-parallel lines? Because again, we have uncountably many choices for L2 and uncountably many choices for L1, but there are what to say. Therefore, we can find two non-parallel lines and two non-parallel lines L1 and L2. L1 also not containing any point of A, L2 also not containing any point of A. Okay, once you find such a path, then from alpha to, so you this point of intersection we call it gamma. Okay, L1 and L2 intersect at gamma. You take the line segment from alpha to gamma, then from gamma we return to beta through the line L2. You see, if this is our path joining alpha and beta, by our choice of L1 and L2, this particular curve won't passes through any point of A, because L1 and L2 doesn't contain any point of A. Okay, so one thing I am little bit kind of mystic here is why L1 and L2 can be chosen to be non-parallel. So, but yeah, think about it, but it is possible to choose. The simple argument is we have too many choices for L1 and L2. A is only countable, but number of lines passing through beta is uncountable, number of lines passing through alpha is also uncountable. Okay, therefore we can always find a line L1 and L2 which contains no point of A and non-parallel. Therefore, they will intersect. So, using that path, we get a curve joining alpha and beta. Therefore, this R2 minus A is path connected. Okay, I hope you understand this argument. Now, okay, so the option 4 is correct. Now, one thing what we have many times imagined in our mind is Q cross Q. So, okay, maybe we finish the first option. Let's see what is the first option. Then we come to the Q cross Q. So, in the first option, they are saying that if A is countable a dense set, then X is totally disconnected. So, what is totally disconnected? Totally disconnected means only connected subsets are singletons. Okay, so they are saying that if A is countable dense, then X is totally disconnected. Totally disconnected means only connected subsets are finite set. I mean, singletons are the only connected subsets. That's what we call totally disconnected. But if A is countable dense, even if just A is countable, then we know that X is even path connected. Forget connected, it is path connected. So if A is countable, then X is path connected. That's what we proved in the fourth option. Therefore, they are saying that if A is countable and they are giving one more condition also dense, but as long as it is a countable set, we know that x is path connected. That is what we proved in the fourth option. Therefore if a is countable, then x is path connected, so totally disconnected is completely wrong. Okay.